しい。
しかし暑すぎる。ごめん、待った？今来たとこ。
Yo, it's your man MAS, back with more content. All right, Jobless Reincarnation is back. Yes, it came back again, like Attack on Titan Part 1 of the final season, Part 2, Part 3. Yes, Jobless is going that route. It's back, and if you clicked on the video, you already know the name of the title, right? Rudeus settling down. Is sylphy the side chick? Okay, that's what we're talking about this time around. We've been waiting for, the next season to kind of come out. It's weird kind of calling it the next season because it's still the same season. I feel like a lot of anime are doing that now where they just kind of prolong episodes, but they're still putting it within the same season. But yeah, and it was a very calmer pace, right? Meaning like Rudeus is that guy. Rudeus is still that guy. I mean, Kazuma's still my guy from Konosuba, but Rudeus is also that guy. But he got married. That's a big deal in every man's life. Pretty much the way his character's development is amazing, right? Like he's becoming more of a man than he ever was in the real world. And he's getting married, he's being more mature, he kind of helped out his sister. Not be like shut in like he used to be. But the chick he chose to settle with was sylphy. We kind of all knew that sylphy was like the number one, right? But Rudeus got other ladies out there, all right? And he might not be shit like his man Paul, his father Paul, but because he has several love interests that even I still might not be privy to, because more episodes will come in the anime. But there's sylphy, there's Eris, and then there's Roxy, right? Roxy is old as hell, so I mean she's there, but do I consider her like a primal of interest? I don't know. Eris is to me the true contender. So if you looked at my previous videos, I felt like Eris is the bad girl, and then sylphy is the good girl. So sylphy is the girl you want to wife up, but you probably cheat on. Like, let's be real, right? And then Eris is the girl you cheat on her with, for being real, right? So the way anime is being set up, and I definitely apologize, somebody spoiled this for me, so I don't know if this is real or not, but apparently they practice in polygamy out there, right? Like Rudeus is apparently having multiple wives, so I don't know if that's a thing later down. I do not know. Again, a lot of my reviews are based upon the anime, right? So things that happen in the near future, we don't talk about that here. We don't read books over here, right? Strictly anime. So if he does have multiple wives in the future, then that's great. Then sylphy doesn't need to be called a side chick. Sylphy is just one of his many wives, right? But I can't confirm or deny that he's going to have multiple wives. So from what I can tell, sylphy is potentially going to be a side chick. Because I am telling you, my personal opinion, the minute Eris is back in the picture, she's coming back. She's coming back, right? She a bad, what, she coming back. And the minute she come back, I said it in a previous video. Sylphy who? I got a wife? That's all I'm saying. And then Roxy, I mean, you could put her in the mix. I feel like Roxy's like the lesser of the two. In sylphy's own defense, Roxy's probably way more of a side chick than sylphy. At least sylphy's kind of like a main chick kind of side, but maybe main. Like I don't know. But Roxy's in that mix. Roxy's like, she's part of the harem. She's part of the trio. But I feel like the true battle of women is Eris and sylphy. And then I feel like there are other characters too that adore Rudeus, but it's basically like his father Paul, and Paul is between the wife Zenith and then the maid, right? So Paul be slinging that thing. I'm pretty sure Paul knocked down Elisa the elf, the mature elf. I'm pretty sure he knocked that down, but who hasn't knocked that down? But Rudeus was about to knock that down. But But yeah, it's kind of like Paul. Despite all the women Paul has been involved in, and Paul being Rudeus' father, there was two main women in his life. Again, as far as the anime is concerned, it's Rudeus' actual mom, Zenith, that they're trying to save, right? The mom, she's the main chick, and then there's the maid, who's theoretically the side chick, but she's a proud side chick, right? She ain't ashamed, all right? So that's the situation that's happening right now with Rudeus. It hasn't come about yet, but it's only a matter of time before Eris comes back and Rudeus has a decision to make. And even if he doesn't make the decision, because he said in one of the episodes, I'm not cheating on my wife already. Like, you know the option is there, because once Eris comes back, he has a decision to make, and he's probably going to be, I don't know. Because Eris is the one who broke his heart, in theory, right? And he was all bent out of shape, and he went on this whole journey to restore his manhood, quote unquote manhood. So he went this whole journey to do that, and Sylphy restored that, because Sylphy is wifey material. Like, she can restore a man's soul, right? So she restored Rudeus back to life, only for him to wait on Eris to come back and then destroy him again, right? But that's the cross you bear as a man. It's like, yeah, like, this chick ain't shit, but I mean, I can't stop myself. I can't stop. That's Rudeus and Eris. So the minute Eris comes back, yeah. Do I hope that Rudeus can be faithful and settle down? Because like the way the arc opened up, it was great. I'm like, yo, Rudeus, like, he's becoming so mature. Not only so mature, but like, he's like, yo, he's doing the right things. He's being a really good friend. He's, you know, helping people in need, being a good leader. I mean, the old Rudeus, you know, that episode when he took the panties, he probably would have kept them. He probably would have been mad. But the new Rudeus, the settled down Rudeus, you know what I mean, he talked to his cohorts about the panties and was like, nah, I don't condone this. That's the new Rudeus. The new Rudeus doesn't condone this. The old Rudeus kept a stash, had a panty, his best souvenir. That's the old Rudeus. Now I mean, he that dude. Now I mean, the slime balls, no, he that kind of dude. But the new Rudeus, nah. Very, very mature, very, very much clapped for. You know, and he's about to have a kid, so he's being very responsible. He's not being a shut-in. Maybe a lot of that was kind of based upon like his otaku culture, you know, like him being into creepy stuff like that. But the new Rudeus, he's way more mature, and I really hope that he continues in that pace, right? I really hope that Sylphy doesn't become a side chick. It's very likely she will become a side chick, but I'm hoping that she doesn't. So I'm making this video saying that Sylphy is potentially a side chick, but I'm hoping for the best, right? I'm hoping that when Eris comes back, he doesn't do Sylphy dirty, you know, because let's say Eris gave him an ultimatum, right? Because we do scenarios around here. If Eris says, hey, Rudeus, I want to be with you, but we have to dump Sylphy, right? How many of you think he's going to keep Sylphy and ignore Eris' demands? Or how many of you think he will give in to Eris' demands and dump Sylphy? I will go the latter. I feel like he was that bent out of shape with Eris. He spent so much time with Eris that if Eris actually gave him an ultimatum, despite how much he might love Sylphy, he probably will do it. That's why I'm saying Sylphy's probably the side chick, all right? But there's nothing wrong with being side chicks. There's nothing wrong with that, all right? Just understand, right, that even with Eris and Sylphy, Rudeus is probably just gonna have other women in his life, aka Roxy. But it doesn't matter if you have other women in your life, it just matters of like their title. So what is their title to you, right? If you're gonna go that route, right? I feel like he should just kind of stick to the family life, but can I expect that of him like I would another person? I mean, it's an anime, it's very risque, you know, like the kind of topics that they're talking about. Even like the Paul, they don't really showcase a lot of ain't shit dads, I guess. But I don't even think Paul, like, they emphasize the imperfections, which they don't do a lot of anime, which I find very refreshing. But yeah, no, I just hope that Rudeus makes the right decision, all right? But again, purpose of the video, nothing wrong with being a side chick, right? But I love Rudeus' character development. I hope it continues, but I feel like it's only a matter of time before he kind of goes back to his old ways. But that's my assumption, right? But more reviews to come. Again, my name is MAS, short for Mind Knowing Senpai. If you like the content, please like, comment, subscribe. And again, I have my own comic series called Citizen Evil. I'll try to bring it up. You know what I mean? So definitely check me out. I'm out.
いい男ですわね。想像以上にびっくりしましたわ。もっと子供だと思っていたんですけれど。
Yo, it's your man MAS. I'm back with more Jobless Reincarnation videos. Yes, it's back, all right? It's back and it's better than ever, all right? And this time around, we're talking about, I touched on this topic before, but Rudeus not trying to go back to the real world, all right? So all my isekai fanboys and isekai fangirls, you know, I know you're probably going to be disappointed, but I'm not a fan of the isekai genre, right? And the isekai genre, like I will say, out of all the isekais, Jobless is probably top tier. Like it is up there. To me, the best isekai is ReZero, right? But that's to me. But all because ReZero is the best doesn't mean that Jobless, if somebody said Jobless is better than ReZero, I couldn't debate that. Jobless is really good storytelling. He does a really good job storytelling. People talking about Furin, but Jobless does a really good job storytelling. That being said, still an isekai. So because of isekai, no matter by default, it can't be number one anime. No, right? And the reason why is because of this same very dilemma. But that's why I gotta give Jobless credit. They actually touch on the realities. Like, yo, he is a fat ass. Like he's a loser in real life. Real life loser, right? Gets into the isekai. And that's what they do in isekais. Whole new person, whole new personality, got 8-pack abs, gets all the girls, has all your stats to 1000, right? No flaws, right? What person in that position wants to go back to the real world, all right? The only person that wants to do that is Nanahoshi, right? The girl with the mask that's trying to get back to the world. She's the only person I've ever seen in the isekai want to go home to the real world. And guess what? She probably wants to do that because her life doesn't suck, all right? But my whole thing is Rudeus isn't trying to go back to the real world. And that, my friend, is unrealistic. It's unrealistic because despite how much growth he's made as a person in this pretend world, it's still nothing more than a pretend world. Like he doesn't actually come from this world. Why can't he just take the things that he's gaining from this world and bring it back to the real world? Why he doesn't want to do that? Because like a lot of people are, I won't say like lazy, but like just doesn't want to put in that effort. Like he could, like, let's say he goes back to the real world, he gets a job, you know, he actually makes friends, you know, and loses weight. He might actually get a girl like Sylphy in the real world, or Eris, you know. But then again, maybe he won't. And that's the dilemma. It's like, yo, would he actually be able to get these women do the things that he's doing in the real world versus this world? Chances are no, because magic doesn't exist in the real world, if you want to call technology magic. But so like that by default already, he wouldn't be able to, which is what probably makes the world that he's in now more appealing, right? So Nanahoshi is trying to get back to the real world. I commend her determination to try to find ways to get back to that place, right? Because you know she has a whole family and friends and people that she actually looks forward to. It's very evident that Rudeus doesn't have that. He's not really striving to go back to the real world. He is curious to know how his brother's doing. That in that one episode that his brother tried to, you know, pull him out of the room. But it's very evident that Rudeus has no intention of going back to the real world. Right? And to me, it's just, it's unfortunate. It's just a dangerous place to be in as a person, because it's almost like willingly living in delusion, right? And then maybe the books talk about it more into the future, but again, have I said a million times, we do not read on this channel. This is strictly the anime. So get your books out of here, all right? Strictly the anime. Anime he ain't trying to go back to the real world. And I don't think it's the best situation for him, but like, can I blame him? He's living a life in this world. Like, everybody at the school is on him, like, to the 10th degree. Like, Rudeus is the man, Rudeus is good at magic, Rudeus is amazing, Rudeus has pretty hair, he's a gray rat. Like, everybody is on his you know what. Like, who would want to go back to the real world after getting all that admiration in this pretend world, right? And he has a whole wife and kid in this world, where that is real world, he doesn't have any of that, right? So the conversation is like, hey, like, he would, or I feel like he would be able to obtain that in the real world if he actually put some effort in. Like, take what he learns in this world and take it to the real world. But because of the illusion of like how good this world is, almost, I won't say drugs, but like, yeah, like something feels so good that like you don't want to let it go. So, and you could tell like the anime initially I felt was about nothing, and then it became about something because he wanted to find his family members. But after the teleportation incident, if that never happened, I feel pretty confident Rudeus would have just been content, like living his life like that, like have no intention of going back to the real world. I'm very positive that would probably happen. So let's say, you know, she uncovers Nanahoshi, she discovers a full-fledged way of teleporting them back to the real world. Would Rudeus take it? I am curious to know. I would hope that he would, but I feel confident he's not. And that's just the curse of isekais, you know? I would like if they did like a Inuyasha type of thing where he's able to teleport between the real world and this world. You know, in Inuyasha they had the well, and you know, they were able to kind of teleport between both realms. I feel like they could do that, you know. But it would be crazy if the women in Jobless, right? So Sylphy, Eris, Roxy, if they were teleported to the real world and saw the real Rudeus, Rudy, would they still be messing with him? I'm telling you they're not. I am telling you they're not, all right? He can get away with 3 wives in this anime, like in the world that he's in. But in the real world, the way he was, I don't think he's getting away with that. He's not getting away with that. And that's the reason he's not trying to go back to the real world, right? But I do feel like he should be concerned about the things that he did have in the real world. So if he did have family, which it seems like he did, if he did have any friends, maybe, yeah, I don't think he had. So cancel that. Family, right? Like, you know how much time has probably passed? Like, are you not curious about your mom? Or are you not curious about your dad? I guess it doesn't hurt if they weren't, you know, ancient people too. There's like, yeah, I don't want to check on them, but you know, that's still family. I feel like since he's been in this world, he's had no regards for like what's happening in his family life in the real world. And maybe that's a testament to like why Paul got so angry. Paul got angry, comes just like, yo, like, how about Rudeus' reaction to like seeing his mom like that? I'm not sure if him as a character is just like that in general, but they explained it like Rudeus has no connection to Zenith like that. Like, yeah, like she birthed him in the pretend world, but as far as he was concerned, which makes sense, like she's nothing more than like a stranger that he knew, and explained in an episode. But then my argument is, well, what about your real mom in the real world? Would you not feel that same way if it was actually your real mom? So maybe him as a character is just like a little bit detached. So that is a possibility. It is a possibility. But no, I was gonna say, contrary to how Paul came off, I thought he was a pretty good father, minus the cheating. But yeah, I'm not sure if his actual father figure in the real world was that, you know, like heartwarming and welcoming. So it just seems like there's a plethora of reasons why he wouldn't go back. And I feel like him not going back to the real world is a detriment to the growth that he's currently made. Like Rudeus has made so much growth currently that like, I feel like that's just the next step of his maturity. Like once he saves Zenith, like I will give him this. He shouldn't leave until he kind of gets all his priorities in order in the pretend world. So like save the people who need to save. You know, maybe wait for your child to be born, your pretend child to be born, your pretend child. And once all that is settled, then, you know, just check in on stuff in the real world. You don't know. Maybe by the time he goes back to the real world, it's an apocalypse, you know, and he'll be kind of upset at himself, like, yo, like, you weren't here for this. You get me? Like, so that's just my thing. He's made so much maturity. I feel like the next step in his maturity is to check on the people in the real life to make sure they're good and to try to take some of those life lessons and better himself in the real world. If it's a situation where if he goes to the real world and he can't go back to the pretend world, then yeah, I can see that being a dilemma, because if I were in his shoes, that would be really appealing too. Like this world is pretty neat. So you telling me if I go back, I can't come back. So if I go to the real world, I can't come back here. So yeah, but I feel like the way Nanahoshi is kind of setting it up, I feel like you'll be able to teleport back and forth. You get me? Like, I feel like that's how the teleportation circles work in the labyrinth. So I feel like the way she's trying to work it now, you should be able to go back and forth between the real world and the pretend world. So, I mean, I just feel like if the option was made available to him, he's not going to do it. Let's be real, all right? But yeah, he's not trying to go back to the real world. That's the title of the video. He's the loser in the real world and he likes the pretend world, but that's the majority of people. So go figure. But yeah, man, that's the video. Again, my name is MAS, stands for My Annoying Senpai. Definitely like, comment, subscribe if you love my anime reviews, and I'm out. Yo, it's your man MAS, back with more Jobless Reincarnation videos, all right? I think season 2 is finally over, but we got tons of things to talk about. If you clicked on the video, you already know what it is. Is Paul secretly OP, or is Paul OP? All right, the only Paul we're talking about is Paul Gray, right? We're talking about Rudeus's father, right? Or Rudeus's fake father, however you want to spin it, right? Now, here's my thing. Here's my argument. Paul is actually very OP. And the gauge that we're going to use, right? So I don't have like a traditional tier list, or I'm not going to have the tier list here. It's probably just going to be clips of Jobless running, but we're going to grade it off of the already well-known and well-skilled swordsmen in anime history. All right, we're talking about the Kenshins, the Ichigos, the the levies. We're talking about those swordsmen, and can Paul wash them? That's what we're talking about, right? Now, hear me out. All of this is subjective. All of this is subject to opinion. But if you think I'm going to give you my logic for everything, right? So, because there's tons of swordsmen through anime history, almost everybody wields a sword. I don't think it's creative, right? But just to kind of make this more centered, we're going to judge it off of the 5 best swordsmen, or 5 best / well-known swordsmen in anime history, and how Paul compares to them, or where they rank compared to Paul. Now, the argument is Paul is SS tier. Paul is at the top of the rank, right? And that's what I'm saying. That's why I felt the need to create this video. I felt Paul was severely underrated. And we're talking about in his universe. Keep that in mind, all right? Because after watching Jobless for like a while, I started to get the idea, like, is Paul like the nicest dude in this show when it comes to skills, when it comes to that swordsmanship? And think about it, really think about it. If you think about all the characters out the show, they don't specialize in swordsmanship, right? If you really, Rudeus's magic, those other characters I know, what was it? The guy with the bead, he's just pure strength, he has a spear. We're talking about pure swordsmanship, pure skills. All right, I don't think anybody's really messing with Paul. And the argument is half of the time he's drunk. Well, before the transportation incident, majority of the times he was drunk, right? So, I mean, out of the swordsmen that I rank, is Paul better than Kenshin? Kenshin from Rurouni Kenshin, the legendary swordsman, the Batosai assassin, right? The notorious to me, like one of the best swordsmen in anime history, right? Does Paul wash the floor with him? The answer is yes. The reason why is yes, because Kenshin don't hurt nobody anymore. He took a vow of abstinence from killing, right? I'm not condoning people killing people, right? So don't twist my words, but he can't be a contender, right? He has a reverse blade sword. He's not trying to do no damage, right? Paul has intention. Kenshin doesn't have intention anymore. So let's say Kenshin was in his prime, still slashing and dashing people, then yes, Kenshin would be considered better than Paul. But I don't think Kenshin, I won't say I don't think, Kenshin is not that guy anymore. He's not trying to be that guy. He swore off killing people, so he's trash now, compared to Paul, all right? Paul still got them hands, and drunk or not, he ready to sway, all right? So by default, Kenshin, honorable mention, he's probably like D tier. Kenshin is D tier now because he's not killing anybody. So he's D tier, and Paul is still S tier. Paul will take out Kenshin because Kenshin's not trying to kill him. So there's that. Next notable one, Zoro. Zoro from One Piece, all right? Can Paul beat Zoro? The answer is yes. The argument for that is Zoro needs 3 swords. Paul only needs 2. Right? Paul only needs 2 and he'll thrash Zoro, right? Maybe Paul would probably thrash Zoro if he's not drunk too. I feel like Paul does really well when he's drunk. To me, that's the appeal of it. But I feel like when he's not drunk, he's even better, right? So here's the thing. Paul's never going to get his flowers in anime history. I get it. So this video, I'm giving Paul Grey Rat his flowers. Especially because I almost spoiled people, but if you saw the show, you saw it ended for Paul. This man needs his recognition, right? Paul needs his recognition. So Zoro, and I'm positive Zoro has other abilities. Like by default, like Zoro's cheating, so Paul gets it, right? But Zoro's probably like B+ in my book, and Paul is still S tier, right? He don't need 3 swords to beat Zoro. Zoro needs 3 swords and other things to beat Paul. It's just not a fair match. Paul gets it. Next swordsman, Guts from Berserk. All right. I'm not gonna lie to you. When it comes to just pure strength for strength, Guts got it. Guts got it. But I don't think Guts is as fast, right? So Paul versus Guts, I think Paul got it with the speed. Is Guts a damn good swordsman? He is. He's probably A tier, all right? He's not S tier because he still hasn't beat Griffin yet, but he is. I know that was a low blow. I love Berserk. Guts is my man, but he not S tier. He's not S tier. He's not. We're not gonna lie to ourselves and say Guts is S tier and Paul isn't. If Guts is S tier, Paul is S tier, all right? Paul doesn't have it with strength. Compared to Guts, Paul will lose. But compared to speed, and here's the thing, if Guts was drunk, probably wouldn't be able to compete with Paul. Listen, the Grey Rats got it. The Grey Rats got it. And then here's my thing about Guts too. Guts will probably get the win if he uses the armor, but again, that's the same thing with Zoro. So no, we're talking about like pure swordsmanship, pure skill, no special abilities. Paul got it. Guts is, so let's review the list, right? Kenshin is D tier because he don't hurt nobody. Zoro is B tier, and then Guts is A tier. And then Paul is still SS tier. So Paul is faring fairly well right now, all right? Next person on the list in terms of notable swordsmen, all right? Ichigo from Bleach, all right? I will argue he suffers from the same thing as Zoro in terms of it's not just swordsmanship, all right? It's not, it's cheating. If it was just Ichigo pure swordsmanship versus Paul pure swordsmanship, Paul without the, you know what? I think Paul got it. That's a close one though. That's a close one. Because Ichigo is nice. I think Ichigo would beat Guts too, if I had to be honest. Ichigo is nice, but listen, Paul needs his recognition. I don't feel like they highlighted his swordsmanship as much, but like no special abilities. If you consider, that drinky drink a special ability, but Paul is nice with it. All right. I think Paul got it over Ichigo. If Ichigo was just talking about pure swordsmanships, none of that magical, none of that stuff, pure swordsmanship, all right? But we got to give it up to Ichigo. Ichigo is S tier, but Paul is SS tier. Paul is still, that's a close fight. That is a close fight. Ichigo versus Paul, sword for sword, strip the abilities, but I think Paul still got it. I think Paul still got it. Again, this is subjective, all right? And then the most combative person on the list for me, but again, this is my list, subjective, Levi from Attack on Titans, all right? Levi from Attack on Titans, everybody know. Levi's that guy. If there's ever anybody, somebody that somebody needs to worry about, Titan, human, anime universe, Levi can rip you apart with a half-broken sword. That's how good Levi is. Can he beat Paul? Honestly, that's the probably like the closest match. Like, there's no magic involved. Levi doesn't really use any, fully stuff like that. Levi is just pure. I mean, if you consider his bloodline, but it's pure skill. And Paul is pure skill. And here's my thing. I probably still got to give it up to Paul. The reason I still got to give it up to Paul is because only if it wasn't for that one episode, I would probably put Paul in like the lower tier. But I saw how determined and how passionate he was to save his wife. Now, I mean, even though he'd been messing around, but to save his main wife, you saw how passionate that man was. Paul can do any and everything swordsmanship wise when he puts his mind to it. And even when he's drinking, he probably still can. I think he got it over Levi because I don't think Levi can do it if he had a handicap. Like if Paul had a handicap with the drinking and then Levi was also drinking, Paul will wash him. But if I had to be honest, and this is me being objective, if Levi's not drinking and Paul's drinking, Levi probably got it. Levi is SS tier, Paul is SS tier, but you know the tier list where whoever comes first and then after. So it's Paul first, Levi after. All right. So let's review. Okay. So Kenshin is D because he don't hurt nobody. Zoro is B because he still got to use 3 swords, right? Guts is, wait, that's 4. Guts is 3. So Zoro is 4, Guts is 3. Guts is 3 because he's just not as fast. He's top of the list in brute strength over everybody, but he's not that fast. Zoro, no. What's his? Ichigo's number 2, because Ichigo is that guy. Just same thing, pure sword for sword, steel for steel. I think Paul got it. And then Levi and Paul are on the same tier, but Paul just comes before Levi. It is what it is. But this is in honor of Paul. All right, your sacrifice did not go in vain. This video is an honor for you. All right, Paul. Yes, Paul is secretly OP. Don't spoil it for me if there's more content to come, like if Paul suddenly comes back to life. But yeah, Paul is that guy. But about my tier list, I don't care. Please comment below who you think is the number 1 swordsman if you think Paul is trash, which he's not. All right. My name is MAS again. I have a comic Citizen Evil. Check me out. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.
苛烈なる炎の精霊にして地獄にうごめく黒
Yo, I'm back again. This will be like the final video in the series in terms of Jobless Reincarnation. This your man MAS, of course, my annoying senpai. Of course, my takes are very annoying, so I mean, there's that. But it's finally over. Season 2 of Jobless is finally over. So now the argument is not only how do we evaluate the season, but like what's left. Is the show over in terms of like no driving force? All right, and we can get right into the video because I know where I'm coming from. You guys might be a little confused or feel some type of way, so just go jump right into it. So they found Zenith. Rudeus found his mom. I felt that was literally like the main driving force of the show. All right, this isn't like a slice of life. So I kind of judge anime based upon like story plot and what's the driving force. there are some people who just like, technically I do like slice of life. Like I just want to know what the show is before I watch it. It's like, hey, what's the show? What's the driving force? A lot of times for me, and I feel like for a lot of people, there needs to be some kind of driving force. You know, Mario needs to save Peaches. Goku needs to save the world. There needs to be some kind of driving force, all right? And if there is no driving force, just say that from the jump, all right? If we're just going to do like a Harlem and, you know, one guy, 15 girls, then, I mean, that's kind of jobless, but we can do that. But say what the show is from the jump. So I created a video a long time ago, still stand by that. The show was about nothing, right? But it was one of the best shows about nothing I've ever seen with Jobless Reincarnation. One of the best shows I've seen about nothing. Like, I'm like, all right, this guy was a loser in real life, reincarnated to this pretend world, and now he's the shit, right? But he's just living life. There's really no like nothing to aspire to. Like he's literally just content being this baby and just living life. And one of my commenters, definitely salute to that person. They actually brought up a really good point. Like technically he's like an old man, still like mentality is still like an old man in a little kid's body, and he was still kind of creeping on people like Sylphy, stuff like that. So I mean, it might be controversial, but that is kind of creepy, if I had to be honest, right? Rudeus, the real Rudeus is kind of creepy. He's still technically a loser. But the show is about nothing, and then the teleportation incident happened, and then the show became about something. Meaning, all right, the goal was not really to save the world, but the goal was to find his like family and loved ones, right? So the goal doesn't have to be as big as, or the drive doesn't have to be as big as, oh, he needs to save the world, or oh, there's a super villain. But like there needs to be some kind of purpose. Maybe that's the better word. Like the show, I feel currently has no more purpose. The purpose was for him to find everybody from the teleportation incident. And throughout the show, he's slowly doing that and slowly journeying with a whole bunch of people. Started with Eris and the other guy, and then slowly went with Elise to find Zenith, right? But like found, I don't think he's trying to find Roxy, but he found his sisters, found Sylphy. Like he slowly found everybody he was striving to find, right? So the last person on the list was Zenith. So regardless of how content he seemed at the magical school, like we all knew there was still a purpose, which was to find Zenith, right? And that once he finds Zenith, we were curious to know, like, all right, where's the story going to go? Because it has so much great momentum to begin with now. And it's like, all right, like people, like listen, that driving force, they're trying to find everybody. And that was like a pivotal point in one of the episodes. Like Paul was upset at Rudeus, like, yo, this is what you've been doing. I've been trying to find your mom and everybody. You've been playing what, school or whatever with like all these people. Like that was a point of contention. And I felt that because I'm like, yo, like I feel the same way. Like I'm over here trying to find people. He's like, just, I know he's so supposedly going on a journey, but like he's like kind of fooling around. Like I feel that way too. So that was really engaging, in my opinion, to viewers, right? They finally found Zenith. She's not herself. Not going to spoil that for you, but so then what? I will argue there's not much left, right? The only things I can foresee, unless you just add a whole new dynamic in season 3, which I'm excited to see, but is maybe the driving force is going to be trying to bring Zenith back to her former self, which doesn't seem that exciting, you know, but could be a driving force, like trying to get, like, kind of like what Berserk and Casca, right? Like trying to get her to her former self, which is more exciting because there's a lot more action. But Zenith, I mean, she wasn't really a warrior. Casca washes her. Like I'm not really looking forward to that. But then there's like, what was it? Eris is also looking forward to Eris. Like, all right, well, you know, there's more content because Eris is going to come back in the picture. All right. There's Roxy, there's Sylphy. I still argue Eris is the main girl. All right. They're side chicks. Sylphy's a side chick. Roxy's a side chick. Eris is the main girl. And I don't even think Eris is good for her. I think the best one out of all of them is Sylphy. Sylphy's the good girl. But Eris is what every man wants. Eris is the bad girl who broke his heart. Every man wants the girl that broke his heart. They don't really want the good girl. Just like the women don't want the good guys. I don't make the rules. I make the rules, right? So that's something to look forward to, that Eris is going to come and break up that happy home, right? He's gonna, I don't know, have Sylphy in a rut, have Roxy in a rut, Rudeus kid in a rut. Like, you know, when Eris has come back, all the love interest is gonna be turned upside down because Eris was that girl. Eris was the girl who had Rudeus. Eris was the girl that had Rudeus in that state to begin with. You know, trying to get his you-know-what back, his manhood back. Eris was the person. So that is also something to look forward to. Xena possibly becoming the woman that she used to be, and then Eris coming back into the picture, right? And then the last route they could possibly go in, which I don't think is a realistic route. I covered it in a previous video. What should we call it? You know, the character Rudeus going back to the real world, right? Because I think that's a very not highlighted as much in the show, but with Nanahoshi, I think that's very interesting. Nanahoshi, the girl with the mask, at the magical school, like she's adamant on going back to the real world, and then maybe Rudeus, because in the show he has no interest in going back to the real world, rightfully so. Like his life sucks, all right? He technically died in the real world, but like he was a loser in the real world. In this world, he's everything and more. If I was in his shoes, I wouldn't want to go back either, right? I would argue go back and do a better job in your real life than your pretend life and your pretend wife and your pretend kids. That's what I would argue. But I know people in the comments, there's like a second chance for him. That's fine. Just understand that he's abandoning everything and he's fully committing to this pretend life. And Nanahoshi, she understands what it is. Like, yeah, I'm here, but I want to go back to the real world because it's the real world. I don't want to be here. And she's been striving to get Rudeus's help, which he has been helping her. But the dynamic that they can go in is like, all right, does Rudeus actually attempt to go back to the real world? Even if he's not staying permanently, maybe somewhere along the line he realizes he has unfinished business in the real world and asks, you know, Nanahoshi, like, you know what, I think I'm going to try to go back if there's a possibility that I can go back and maybe right some wrongs. Because 1,000%, Rudeus is 1,000% more mature now than in his real life. Like he's come such a long way. So perhaps he might try to go back with Nanahoshi to kind of right the wrongs that he can. So that's a possibility. But I don't know what route the show's going to go in. I feel like the only thing that seems certain is that at some point that second possibility I told you where Eris coming back in the picture, that's going to happen at some point. But everything else is kind of up in the air. And let's say they don't do any of those three things, they go like, show's probably going to be kind of whack, right? To me. Storytelling is still really good. So Jobless still has amazing storytelling. But in terms of like, for me, and that's what I like about my show, some kind of driving for some kind of goal, some kind of purpose. If they don't do anything after that, I'm not really like, you know, like it's basically just watching another slice of life then. And I'm not gonna lie, this Rudeus is kind of boring. He's more mature. So compared to like earlier, like in the beginning stages of the show starting, like season 1, like he was really immature and that made the show very entertaining. He's a grown man in a little kid's body doing immature, creepy things. It's engaging. I'm not gonna lie, people love misery and drama and disgusting things. Like our eyes are glued to like a car crash. So that's what that was. But with people being more mature, it's not as interesting. It's not as engaging. It's not fun if your girl's arguing with you and you're not arguing back. Like she stops arguing. Like, well, you're not gonna argue with me. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like there needs to be some kind of tension, right? So I think they're gonna do something, but what it is, I don't know. But if they don't do anything, I'm telling you right now, Jobless is not gonna be as popular. It'll probably still have hardcore fans, but I mean that's my opinion on that. But I mean overall, just the season 3 or season 2, this is season 2. I'll give it a good grade. Still same thing. Probably maybe like a B+, A-. Still really good. Like the issue was season 2 started off kind of slow. At least like the second part of part season 2, when Rudeus finally, you know, gets Sylphy the house and stuff like that. It started off slow. Again, because everything's kind of in order. You know, he's doing everything right. It's kind of boring. We want to see the dysfunction. But when, you know, he's given an ultimatum, he goes to finally find Zenith, right? Going back to Paul's point of like, he's just playing house. That's when it gets more interesting. And it took a lot of turns that I honestly did not predict. And it was very refreshing. So, I gotta be honest, you know, Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation season 2 or the second part of season 2, I give it like, if I had to give it the benefit of the doubt, an A-. Definitely looking forward to season 3 and what's to come. But that's my take. Again, my name is MAS. If you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.